Now, let us see how Huygens wave theory could further explain the phenomenon of interference and diffraction. Interference is another beautiful phenomenon where it can be proved that whether light has a corpuscular nature or wave nature, because only waves can interfere, particles cannot interfere. So, our next idea is to see what is interference. Now, the phenomenon of interference of light is actually when two light waves of same frequency superimpose, then some regions will get maximas and some regions will get minimas, and a distribution of energy will take place, and this distribution of energy is called interference. So, let us write it. It is the phenomenon of redistribution of energy such that some regions get less and some get more when light from two or more sources superpose. So, this redistribution of energy is called interference. It is not like that energy is created and destroyed. So, where there is no energy, the energy from that region gets accumulated in the region where we will get more energy. So, we can say light plus light is either more light or no light. That is called brightness. More light means brightness, no light means darkness. So, light plus light will give us more light or no light. Now, let us see mathematically how we will get light plus light as more light. Light is an electromagnetic wave. In our previous chapter, we have learned that light is an electromagnetic wave. In which the electric field and magnetic field sinusoidally changes, periodically changes. So, light electromagnetic wave. So, energy, the intensity of this light, we have seen that it given by epsilon naught c times E square. This is instantaneous energy, and if I take average energy, I average, then I have to take this as E RMS whole square. This is the total energy intensity of electromagnetic wave. The contributions are half from electric fields and half from magnetic field. So, the total energy content, the intensity of the electromagnetic wave is epsilon naught c square. Let us see how how energy will be distributed in two waves. Now, let us see interference of two light waves. So, here I have a point P where two waves reach, one from S1 and one from S2. The wave from S1 is given as E1, S1, wave from S1 is given by E1, A1 sin omega t or cos anything we can write. Let it be sin omega 1 t plus phi 1, and the wave from S2 is denoted as E2 equal to A2 sine omega 2t plus phi 2. Now, we have to add these two waves. So, we are interested in the intensity at the point P. So, we have the expression that I, the intensity at a point P, will be epsilon naught C times E square. This is our general expression. This is the instantaneous value of the intensity. Since electric field, intensity is the quadratic function of electric field, we write E square as E vector dot E vector. So, we will have intensity at point P will then become E means here total field E1, E total field at P is E1 plus E2 dot E1 plus E2. We can write this as epsilon naught C times E1 dot E1 is E1 square, E2 dot E2 is E2 square, E1 dot E2 is E1 dot E2 and again E2 dot E1 plus 2 times E1 dot E2. This is again epsilon naught C E1 square, epsilon naught C E2 square plus epsilon naught C 2 times E1 dot E2. Now, what is this term? This term is the intensity of the first wave even if it S2 is not there, that is intensity of 1. Next, this term is intensity of due to S2 and we write this term as I12. This is intensity of S1, intensity of S1, this is intensity of S2 and this is called interference term, interference energy. That is I12 is due to the interference of these two terms I12. So, total intensity is the sum of the individual intensities, instantaneous intensities plus interference term. We are interested in what is I12. What is I12? Let us see what is I12. Now, let us see what is I12. I12 is given as 2 times epsilon naught C E1 dot E2. Let us write the values of E1 and E2. So, E1 dot E2 is A1, E1 is A1. I have taken sine omega 1t plus theta 1 and sine omega 2t plus theta 2. So, this is epsilon naught C A1 2 sine A sine B, which is cos, maybe exactly that trigonometric formula, omega 1 minus omega 2 t plus theta 1 minus theta 2 something exactly, I do not know the formula, I do not remember it. Then this is suppose minus or plus anything, cos I can write this as suppose cos A plus cos A minus cos B I have written. So, omega 1 plus omega 2 t minus some theta 1 minus theta 2 I can write something like this. Suppose maybe you can verify with trigonometry, the formulas may not be correct, but the form is correct, I know. So, one term will be minus and it will be some plus term, suppose. We are not interested in whether it is cos plus or minus. So, simply two terms will be there. Now, the problem A1 and this is A2. So, you verify from trigonometry what is the exact formula, I do not remember it. So, now here very interesting thing, case 1, if omega 1 and omega 2 are different, if omega 1 and omega 2 are different, then this term is 0. If omega 1 and omega 2 are different, these are finite quantities, omega 1 and omega 2, their difference is finite. Omega 1 plus omega 2 is also finite. So, if this is equal, then both the cos terms has an average as 0 since they are time dependent. So, since for different values of t they will have different phases, so their average will be 0, both averages will be 0. Thus, since these both are 0, so thus the interference term is 0 and I will be simply I1 plus I2. So, no interference, the intensity of the waves will be simply added. Case 2, so that is why in interference we require both the waves having the same frequency. Case 2, if omega 1 is equal to omega 2, the frequency of both the waves is the same. So, in this case, this average is there 0. Now, here the second term vanishes, but the first term will remain. That is, we will have I12 something epsilon naught C A1 A2, some cos, this term is 0. So, cos theta 1 minus theta 2, that is your cos phi, where phi is the phase difference between them. So, this interference path energy is there. Thus, the two waves which are going to interfere must have the same omega 1 and omega 2. As a result, there will be a finite value of I12, and the value of I12 will depend on theta 1 and theta 2, the phase difference. Next important point is, now you see this I12 is epsilon naught C A1 A2 cos theta 1 minus theta 2. So, I12 is equal to epsilon naught C A1 A2 if theta 1 minus theta is equal to 2n pi, and we call it a constructive interference. So, when constructive interference is there, then there is a contribution of I12 this much. Now, if theta 1 minus theta 2, that is the phase difference between them, is 2n plus 1 pi by 2, then we have I12 is equal to minus epsilon naught CA1 A2, and so the destructive interference, that is I max you will get as I1 plus I2 plus something epsilon naught C A1 A2, that is the interference energy, and that can be written as further as, and I mean as I1 plus I2 plus, I think epsilon naught square will be there. So epsilon naught square c square will be also there, epsilon naught square c square. So we can write this as root I1 root I2, that will be also 2 will be there something. Anyway, let it be here, epsilon naught square c square A1 A2, that is minus epsilon naught square c square A1 A2. So you see, when constructive interference is taking place, the I max will be this, I min will be this, and more important point here, if theta 1 minus theta 2 varies with time, then again the average will become 0, the average will become 0. As a result, the average will become 0 and there will not be interference energy. There will not be an interference. We say in this case where the sources do not maintain a constant phase difference between them as incoherent source. That means the essential component of interference is that the two waves must have same omega 1 and omega 2 and the sources must be coherent sources. This is the two most important cases that must be satisfied to get a interference pattern, to get a sustained interference pattern. This point must be noted. So I will write this in block points. Omega 1 must be equal to omega 2, i.e. they must have same frequency. This is very important point. And second point is that the sources must be coherent sources, i.e. they must maintain a constant phase difference. This is what is the essence of our entire discussion.